Processing spoken language is often complicated by the presence of simultaneous conversations, environmental sounds, and other types of noise. Background noise can impair speech identification through energetic masking, which makes it difficult to hear the speech because the frequencies present in the masker overlap the ones in the target. In contrast, informational masking makes it difficult to attend to the target speech. This means that maskers that are perceptually similar to the target provide the most informational masking. The linguistic similarity hypothesis claims that listeners should also experience greater informational masking when the target and masker are linguistically similar. Consistent with this hypothesis, English speakers experience more masking in English babble than Dutch babble, and more masking in Dutch babble than Mandarin babble, presumably because English is more similar to Dutch than English is to Mandarin. However, informational masking is often accompanied by energetic masking. For example, Dutch is similar to English, so may interfere acoustically at a low level or at a higher perceptual level. Disentangling the effects of informational and energetic masking is not a trivial task. One way to isolate informational masking is to present the target and masker in different modalities. If participants lip read speech as they listen to babble, any masking that occurs can't be energetic. The current study assessed how the language in which background speech is presented affects participants' ability to lip read English sentences. We predicted that lip reading performance would be worst in English babble, best in silence or steady state noise, and better in Mandarin than Dutch babble. 96 in-lab participants lip read sentences from the Build a Sentence task, a closed-set lip reading task. Each participant completed the lip reading task in 6 background noise conditions: silence, steady state noise, meaningful English babble, anomalous English babble, Dutch babble, and Mandarin babble. Lip reading performance was better in silence and steady state noise than in any type of babble. But when we order the babble conditions from worst to best performance, adjacent conditions didn't differ. Although lip reading performance was worse in meaningful English babble than in Dutch babble, performance didn't differ between meaningful and anomalous English babble, anomalous English and Dutch babble, or Dutch and Mandarin babble. Given that the ordering of the 6 conditions was consistent with our predictions, we conducted an additional experiment to assess the English, Dutch, and Mandarin comparisons with a larger sample. Experiment 2 included 3 noise conditions: meaningful English, Dutch, and Mandarin babble. The experiment was conducted online and included data from 250 participants. Results of this experiment were consistent with the results of Experiment 1. Meaningful English maskers provided more interference than Dutch and Mandarin maskers, but the Dutch and Mandarin maskers provided equivalent levels of masking. Our goal was to test the linguistic similarity hypothesis in a cross-modal setting. The 3 takeaways are: first, we replicated work showing that auditory speech impairs lip reading performance relative to performance in quiet and steady state noise. Second, we extended the finding that English maskers provide more interference than Dutch and Mandarin maskers to a cross-modal setting. This provides some cross-modal support for the linguistic similarity hypothesis. Third, we found that even with a combined sample across experiments of 346 participants, Dutch maskers do not provide more cross-modal interference than Mandarin maskers. The linguistic similarity hypothesis states that the more similar the target and the masker speech, the harder it is to segregate the 2 streams effectively. This implies that maskers that differ from the target language along a similarity continuum should provide graded interference, but this is not what we found. Our findings suggest that the linguistic similarity hypothesis should be further specified to address the conditions under which languages that differ in their similarity to the target should provide different levels of masking.